Hey guys, we've got Quentin, Penny, Rusty, Old Fart. What is up? Jax, Lungs, and Shane. Thanks you guys for jumping on over. I'm watching JB and Zach on the other screen over there saying goodbye. And who is this gorgeous man next to me? You guys, this is Doug, the man behind Knife Rights. So a lot of people on here, they're actually doing reviews of knives. I'm not technically doing reviews of knives. What I wanted to do is I wanted to bring Doug on here himself, and I wanted him to go ahead and kind of talk about, in his own terms, that it kind of makes it easier for everybody to understand, right? What exactly Knife Rights is, kind of what he does, take a look at a couple of his blades and just explain what it is. I still see everybody piling in. Hey, Rusty, there's Peter, Spanky Legion, Dan, Ohio, Theo, what is up, you guys? Peter has taken my peanut butter away. No peanut buttering. So welcome, Doug. How are you today?
We're great. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate all that you and all the folks involved in this Knives Live 2021 are doing for us. What we do takes a lot of money, unfortunately, but it's the way it works. And you guys raising money for us has been huge. I and my wife really appreciate it.
It's been a blast. Now, I have not made it to every live. I actually fell asleep during one last night, but I've been trying to make everyone sense. And, you know, the reception's been great. It's been absolutely wonderful. There's Bees and his peanut butter. So for those of you that are just joining us, and you've heard this over and over again, the 24-hour Knives Live is basically in support of Knife Rights. So we know that, or maybe some people don't know, it takes a lot of money to deal with the knife rights and the laws and to fight the laws. And basically it is Doug himself that's doing it, right? So
that's it.
Yeah. So one of the things we have, and we're just going to say this right off the bat, you guys can see the ticker running down at the bottom there. If you find it in your heart, you can afford it, we would love to have you go donate or join Knife Rights. Oops. And Peter has posted the link. He's watching us. That's my moderator there. And for there's a huge grand prize. I'm not even going to go into what is being given away. There is a huge grand prize, knives all the way from affordable budget. We're just going to say that up to $400 or $500 and other things. So it is insane. For every $10 you guys donate, you get an entry. If you become a member, you get 4 entries. So $10 donation, or starting with even the smallest membership is $35. And as I said, all proceeds do go to help Knife Rights, which is awesome.
We really do. I mean, this has been great. When we talked about this briefly at Blade West, I had no idea what this was going to turn into. It's really fantastic. Everyone tuning in and contributing means a lot.
Yeah. Hey, Jason, I see you there. So let's start off with, in your own words, the best way. Everybody's been trying to kind of explain Knife Rights. What is Knife Rights, and what is it that you do?
So Knife Rights is a nonpartisan advocacy organization that advocates for knife owner and knife maker rights. If you want to compare it to something else, we're sort of like the NRA for knife owners. Yeah. The biggest difference being it's basically myself, my wife Sue, and our Director of Legislative Affairs, Todd Rather. That is Knife Rights. That's all of Knife Rights. We're not a huge organization, and I think we've done a pretty good job. Since 2010, 34 bills repealing knife bans in 23 states and over 150 cities and towns nationwide. So we've got a pretty good record. When we first started knife rights, an awful lot of people said, "Oh, you're never going to repeal a switchblade ban. You're never going to repeal any knife ban." And it took a little while to get things going, but I think we've proved that you can, and you can do it in a bipartisan way, which is huge. I mean, we're the only Second Amendment organization to get support from the left because it's criminal justice reform for them. And the vast majority of our bills pass with bipartisan support, and they've been signed by governors from both sides of the aisle.
Yeah. Now, we talked a lot apparently for a while, at California Custom. And I don't know if it's something you want to discuss, but the amount that it takes, like per year now, we had talked a little bit about like everything that you do is all based on donations for knife rights.
So it's look, our budgets are basically public. We're a nonprofit, or actually two nonprofits. There's Knife Rights Inc., which is a 501c4, and there's Knife Rights Foundation Inc., which is a 501c3. Knife Rights Inc. does all the legislative work. Mm-hmm. The foundation does our legal blade app and does all the litigation. Sometimes it's one or the other. Sometimes, like in New York, where we were suing, where the foundation was suing the city of New York at the same time that Knife Rights Inc. was busy doing legislative work to try to solve the problem in New York City legislatively. Our budgets run anywhere from $200,000 to $250,000 a year. The majority of that goes to lobbying and travel and that sort of stuff. Neither I or my wife take a salary. The travel expenses are annoyingly large.
And even more so now.
Yeah, it's getting worse. I mean, trips that Todd took the beginning of the year that cost $500 round trip. The last trip he took to Ohio was close to $1,000 just for the airfare. And, unfortunately, the majority of our travel can't be planned for. The majority of our travel, we have 2 or 3 days notice, and you don't get any deals. You don't get any deals.
I'm sorry, I had to put that comment up. I have been hearing so many comments about how is that Doug Ritter so sharp?
It's so sharp because Hogue takes a lot of pride in their edges. Hogue is killing it for me, and I probably should make it clear. Look, there's no way I could spend 95% of my time working on knife rights if I didn't have the income from the knives that Hogue is building. That's what helps keep a roof over our head and allows me to spend almost all my time on knife rights. Otherwise, knife rights would have to pay me. We'd have to raise even more money. So the knives are what my RSK knives are what allow me to do knife rights.
Yeah, and I know we were talking about that. I wasn't sure you wanted to say wanted me to say how much, and that's why I kind of wanted to leave it open for you. But I mean, I was kind of taken aback at how much an annual cost is to run knife rights, and there's only 3 of you. If there were even more, the amounts would double.
We punch way above our weight. I'm pretty proud of that.
Yeah.
I'd like to say that we are probably the best value in advocacy in America.
Yeah.
It's just worked out that way. I'm passionate. My wife puts up with my passion and takes care of all the backroom stuff and is sometimes out front as well at many of the shows and events that we go to. It's fun to get things done. It's frustrating sometimes in the process, especially when it takes years. I mean, the fight against New York City was 9.5 years in federal court and in the legislature, 2 vetoes by the governor, with our case getting ready for conference at the Supreme Court before the governor, after 2 vetoes, signed our bill there. But when you get something done that has an effect on large numbers of people, that helps makes it worthwhile. I mean, we're doing things, and you don't often get this opportunity in life. We're doing things that are going to make a difference for not just us, but our kids, our grandkids, our great grandkids. You know, these are generational changes. We've been stuck with these terrible knife laws, these irrational life restrictions for decades and over 100 years in some cases.
Right.
And now we get rid of them. And, you know, while we occasionally are fighting efforts to implement knife restrictions even today, the majority of our work is getting rid of old useless laws that never made any sense when they were enacted and certainly don't make any sense today.
Right. No, I totally agree. And I know, you know, being in California, some of our laws are not quite as bad. I mean, I've been hearing and going through and being on everybody's chats. There are some states like Australia needs some help. I keep hearing the people in Australia.
We don't realize how good we have it, even in the bad places, compared to England and Australia and you know, Japan. The fact of the matter is, we're very lucky to live in America. We're very lucky that we have the ability, because of our political system, to make changes like we do. I mean, I've talked to people in Europe and England and Canada and Australia about they want to do knife rights there, and I'm happy to provide advice, but their political system doesn't lend itself nearly as well to actually getting change done. Our political system does. I mean, if you know what you're doing and you're persistent at it, you can get things done in America that you can't possibly get done elsewhere in the world. So we're lucky that way.
Were you going to say something?
I just want to
Yeah.
I can't hear Pete.
He's saying there's also, you guys, thank you for your donations so much. That really is so awesome. I'm going to ask that, and while I appreciate it very, very much, you guys, I totally appreciate it. I'm going to ask that you guys actually, instead of donating to the channel, if you guys can donate to Knife Rights for me, that would be so awesome. Again, super appreciated. But let's put all that money towards the Knife Rights. I think that is so awesome. But
Thank
it doesn't go unnoticed. Oh, absolutely.
You guys are amazing. And each of you that are donating, you're halfway to one entry into this amazing giveaway. So while we love what you're doing and we appreciate it, put your money where you might win something awesome and help out Doug.
I'm not sure. There's one of our followers, Bill. His name is Bill, and he's ProX1840. I'm not even sure what happened, but he has not been around. He's always been a big part of the community and all of our chats. So I just want to give a big shout out to Bill, ProX1840. Hope you're doing well. Somebody had a question, and I'm trying to go back and find it. They wanted to know, I believe, if you had anything to do. Here we go. Rusty Cleaver, were you involved in the changes in the knife laws that we had in Texas a couple of years ago? Because we used to be super restricted.
So the answer basically is, if a knife law has changed in the United States, we're responsible. I mean, that's the straightforward answer. Texas ain't nearly as Texas as everyone thinks Texas is. And that's straight from the mouth of the governor of Texas when we had a bill signing event with him. Texas used to have terrible knife laws. And we have been working every session since, I think, 2013 or 2011 in Texas. And every session we have moved the ball down the road, getting more knife laws, knife bans repealed. Started off with switchblades. We got them legal in Texas. Then we got preemption passed. And preemption means that there are no local restrictions. So we got rid of, for example, Austin's restriction on lock blade knives went away when we passed preemption. The length limits in a number of towns in Texas went away when we passed preemption. After preemption, we went after the fact that you couldn't legally carry a Bowie knife in Texas for a lot of other knives. So we got rid of that restriction. And we've just, we've slowly and surely are working towards getting Texas to be like everyone thinks Texas is. But yes, we're responsible. And if a knife restriction has been repealed, we're the ones who did it, because we're the ones that are in the State House lobbying and doing the work that's necessary. You can't do this by remote control. You got to show up. Because
you're just crazy enough to get out there and do it, right?
Yeah, well, I got pissed off when the Wall Street Journal, in summer of 2006, the Wall Street Journal had an article, top of the B section, about all these evil tactical knives. And we have a copy of the article and everything on the website. People are welcome to read it. But it was so full of BS. And it was sort of like every bad article you've ever read about evil assault rifles, except it was tactical knives.
Yeah.
And I had an epiphany that there was no NRA for knife owners. There's a manufacturers organization that hadn't done much. And there was a need for somebody to step up. And I guess if you piss Doug off enough, he does crazy shit. And we formed Knife Rights, and it took a few years to get our feet underneath us. And beginning in 2009 with the passage of the fifth exemption to the Federal Switchblade Act, after U.S. Customs tried to basically say assisted openers and one-hand openers were switchblades. Next year we started with our legislative efforts at the state houses, passing the nation's first knife law preemption bill in Arizona, and passing the first repeal of a ban on switchblades, dirk daggers, and stilettos in New Hampshire. And that gave us the credibility to continue doing this. We should piss you off more often. Well, it happens. Knife Rights has sort of taken over my life. That's the downside.
It's interesting though, because when we said, I didn't really know anything about you. We had talked on Instagram, we'd messaged back and forth, but when we actually finally got to meet and sit down was California Custom Knife Show.
Yeah.
And like I said, I laughed because I'm like, oh yeah, we talked for a little bit, and Peter's like, it was an hour and a half. And I'm like, oh, was it that? And we talked a little bit about everything, but it was nice to put a face to the name, right? I mean, to actually meet the face, but to sit down and talk and learn about what it is you're doing, like why you started, which you just kind of went in a little bit of why you do that. What made you do the switch from I don't know if you've already really kind of answered that though, the switch from designing to specifically just Knife Rights? No kidding.
Well, so, the article in the Wall Street Journal was really what catalyzed things and got things started. And, some people recognize this and some people don't, but, I was involved with the knife community and knife manufacturers for years and years and years through my Equipped to Survive website, which is sort of like Consumer Reports for survival gear. And I don't do much with that anymore these days because I don't have time. But so the relationships were there to start working with it. And it just fortuitously worked out that I was able to, because we started producing with Benchmade, the original RSKs, just the year prior to my forming Knife Rights. So it was, it just worked out well. The knives proved popular, despite the fact that Les Easis didn't believe they would ever sell. And that's why we ended up with our peculiar situation where my knives are only available from a single source, because basically after bugging Les for a number of years to produce this knife, and him saying nobody's going to buy a high-end steel blade in a relatively inexpensive Griptilian handle, he finally said, fine, if you buy a couple hundred knives, I'll build them for you. And so really I started a trend, if you want to look at it that way, because you can get all kinds of relatively high-end steel knives with relatively inexpensive handles today, that nobody thought you could sell. And the fact that we were successful and continue to be successful, and I think offer great value with my RSK line,
Absolutely,
is proof that that was a sound decision. And it just worked out so well, because as knife rights grew and the amount of time it took to do knife rights grew, there was income coming in from the knives that supported those efforts.
Okay. Every once in a while, you might see me smile, and it's because of some of the comments that are popping up here. So Zach stuff. Besides all the wonderful work, I appreciate Doug for the time he takes to speak to everyone as a human. And Zach, you couldn't be further from the truth. I mean, when I sat down with you, it was like sitting down with an old friend. You know, just
thank you.
What?
You said that.
Sort of got it back.
Zach knows Doug. I think that's awesome. And then somebody asked, see, in Eggs and Ham, David, our friend, he actually had the honor of meeting you at Blade West. I missed you at Blade West. I was really bummed about that. But what was somebody said? Well, Illinois boy, thank you so much for the donation. Chuck Norris checks under his bed for Doug Ritter.
Oh
my God.
It is humbling, the nice things that people say about me. I'm just following my passion, and I'm lucky enough to have some talent in doing this. What a lot of people think, oh, okay, well, you must have had a lot of experience doing legislative and politics and that sort of stuff. And the fact of the matter is, while I had watched what the NRA and Second Amendment Foundation and others had done for years, I was a novice at this. I had absolutely no clue what I was doing. But I hooked up with some good people. We hired a good lobbyist, and it just all worked well. And obviously, it was a steep learning curve, but it's as much about persistence and stubbornness, right, which I've got in spades.
No,
I'm a Taurus, so I'm stubborn, and
you're a Spitfire.
Well, yeah, I guess.
You.
But that's part of our secret, is we don't give up. There are many states that have taken many years and many attempts to get things done. I mean, we finally got a big part of Ohio's issues solved at the end of last year and the beginning of this year. That was a 5 or 6 year effort, and we're back this year with the next step to get preemption done. New York, as I said, was 9.5 years. There have been a lot of states. Texas has been ongoing, every session, which is every 2 years in Texas. You got to have stick-to-itiveness. You've got to have perseverance if you're going to do this, because it isn't easy, and it doesn't always happen the first time. And honestly, early on, we were picking low-hanging fruit, relatively speaking. It's harder now, because we did the easy states. Yeah. We did Arizona, we did New Hampshire, we did, now we're doing the more difficult states. What are you currently working on? What state right now? So currently for 2021, we had passed a preemption bill in Michigan, which passed with bipartisan support, and not unexpectedly, it was vetoed by the governor. But it's a process, and we'll be back next year and the year after and the year after until we get it done. Well, and you've mentioned before, not to interrupt, but you've mentioned before that even if you're vetoed, you're back at it again. Yeah, that's how you get things done. I mean, in New York, we had 2 vetoes. And in the end, our bill passed with only 1 nay vote in the entire legislature. So we currently have Ohio's preemption bill in process, and we currently have a bill in Pennsylvania to get rid of their ban on switchblades that we're working.
Can you see JB's question right there? Could you
I
possibly?
do.
Okay.
So preemption has been around for a long time in the firearms Second Amendment community. And what preemption does is say that there can be no local jurisdictions with laws that are more restrictive than state law. So that ensures that when you cross the city line, the law doesn't change. If you know the state law, then that's all you need to know. You don't, for example, you live in California. California's state laws are certainly not the worst, but if you cross into Los Angeles, for example, you have length restrictions that you don't have elsewhere. So preemption gets rid of all of that. We passed the first knife preemption law in Arizona in 2010. I think we've done 12 or 13 states since then. You know, the ideal arrangement is we either take a state that didn't have bad laws like Arizona and pass preemption, or we take a state such as Arkansas, or excuse me, such as Missouri, where we want to get preemption. We fixed the state law, and now we need to fix preemption. Tennessee, fix the state law, pass preemption. You know, that's the way we fix it. We can't afford to go to every little city and town and fix their restrictions.
Right.
So if we pass preemption, that gets rid of those restrictions.
Yeah. So G-Ball at the in-laws is asking, how close are you in Pennsylvania for getting auto law done?
So we have a bill filed. It's a process. It will take a while.
Could take years.
It could take years.
Yeah.
You know, the worst example again being New York, where it took 9.5 years. But the process has started. We actually got very close in Pennsylvania about, I want to say 4 or 5 years ago. We had a bill running, we had bipartisan support, and then we had an unfortunate crime happen involving knives. And sometimes that happens, and even though it has absolutely no relationship to the fact that you're trying to get rid of some knife bans, it's just the legislature is like, okay, we're not doing it this year because the optics are bad.
Right.
And then they had a change in governorship, and to a governor who simply wouldn't sign anything. So sometimes the politics works for you, sometimes the politics works against you. The key is to keep coming back, getting more and more bipartisan support. You know, we have bills signed by governors who nobody expected to sign the bill. And the reason is because these were bipartisan bills. And so it's a process, and it's sticking to it, never giving up, coming back and back. So, you know, could Pennsylvania get done this year or next year? Yeah, it could. I wouldn't hold my breath for that to happen. But it's a process that we've started, and you'll probably hear more about what we're doing in Pennsylvania as things move along. And, you know, I'd encourage folks, if they aren't signed up, sign up for a free News Slice newsletter. If you go to the kniferights.org website, just click in the upper right-hand corner, and you will be informed as we work our way through all these states and issues and litigation and that sort of thing.
Yeah, and if you guys haven't been to the website yet, there is a slew of information on there on everything knife right. So if and when you do have the time, I mean, get over there and check out. While you're over there donating or joining a membership, getting a membership, there's a ton of information on there. And like I said, I mean, when we sat down for an hour and a half, and I don't know, I got so much information out of you just from that. But then on top of that, in going through the website and reading more about it, it's amazing. It's kind of mind blowing what you're doing, what you're attempting to do, and what you have done.
Thank you.
For Knife Rights.
It's a very multifaceted effort, because we have the issue of legislation, which is where we spend the majority of our time and money, honestly. We have the education component with not just our Legal Blade app, but also discussions of other aspects of knife ownership and the legalities and materials and that sort of stuff. And then we have the litigation aspect, which comes and goes, runs hot and cold. The litigation in New York was 9.5 years. In your state of California, we came in as an amicus in a case where, basically our current vice president was interested in turning Swiss Army knives into lock blade knives that were illegal daggers. And I'm pretty proud that we got a unanimous opinion in the California Supreme Court throwing that case out and saying that they didn't have a case, which they didn't, but that didn't prevent them from basically dragging this young man through 8 layers of hell for no good reason. So there are occasions when we can step up and do something like that, which makes a difference. Because if California had been able to say that a slip joint was a lock blade, lots of bad things come from California and get exported to the rest of the country.
Right.
And that would have been a terrible precedent. So we stepped up.
So we have a question here. Does Doe, otherwise known as Doug, argue that knife bans unfairly target vulnerable communities for unfair policing?
So basically what we do is criminal justice reform. And we know, for example, statistics are hard to find. We were lucky when we hooked up with the Legal Aid Society in our New York effort, that they spent a lot of time and effort and money putting together statistics. Mm-hmm. So for some background, in New York City, for starting in 2010, they were arresting people who had just regular knives that they could, what they called wrist flick open, and calling those illegal gravity knives. And right. Over the course of 9.5 years, they prosecuted over 70,000 people. Some of those people who had priors, even a misdemeanor 20, 30 years ago, ended up going up the river on felony charges. So this was a big. This was a very, very big deal. So we get support from the right because it's a freedom, Second Amendment sort of issue for them, and we get support from the left because it's a criminal justice reform for them. All too often, it's their constituents who are being arrested for no good reason for simply carrying a knife. They're not using it criminally. They're not planning to use it criminally, but they get stopped for, a traffic violation. And the next thing you know, they're being charged with some sort of criminal activity because they have a knife in their pocket. And that's just wrong. So I hope that answers your question.
My son's 18, and he obviously he gets to carry knives because we have knives. But I'm always trying to tell him, what he's carrying, how he has to carry it, why he's got to be careful with it, because, depending on what type of knife it is. And, he is 18. He's like, well, if I need to use it for self-defense, and I'm like, well, yeah, but you got to be careful because there's so many stipulations and so many reasons why you can or cannot do this or that with a knife. I know when I walk out here, I always carry a knife. I always have something on me.
So let's talk a second about this because it's very, very important. There are plenty of places where carrying a firearm is difficult to impossible. Certain parts of California being one of those places.
Right.
And people carry a knife as their means of self-defense. It's a tool that may occasionally be an arm as for use in self-defense. So there are a couple things. On the Knife Rights site, there are a couple of articles that discuss what you do if you're arrested. And these are also on our Legal Blade app. What to do if arrested, what to do if you end up using a knife or, for that matter, any weapon in self-defense. And I'll mention also that we have teamed up with U.S. Law Shield, who provides insurance if you use any type of weapon, whether it's a firearm, a club, a knife, or even your own hands in a legitimate self-defense. It is the unfortunate reality that in a lot of places, if you protect yourself, if you exercise your right to save your life, you are going to be prosecuted, and it is going to cost a fortune and potentially bankrupt you. So if you have U.S. Law Shield or any other of those similar coverage, it's insurance, and it's not expensive. And if you're carrying a knife and thinking that is your means of self-defense, let alone if you're carrying a firearm, you really owe it to yourself and your family to make sure that you have that kind of insurance. And at least please go to the website, read the articles on what to do if arrested and on what to do if you use your arm in self-defense, because it is so easy to do the wrong thing if you don't understand how the law works.
Absolutely.
So that is one of the things that we're very strong on. Evan Knappen has helped us write these articles. He's probably the leading knife law attorney in the country and a longtime friend and supporter of knife rights. So worth the 10 or 15 minutes it takes to read these articles if you're carrying a knife and expecting that you may use it in self-defense.
Right. No, and like I said, the information on your website, it's you could get lost in there. There's information on on anything and everything. And that's what I love about it. I love what Knife Rights does. And I love that they're giving you like everything in one place, all the information you need kind of in one place, which is just awesome. I did have a question from somebody else on there who wanted to know, how did you come up with the geometry on the mini RC?
So basic. I'd love to say I drew it all out and I did CAD drawings and it all worked out, and that would not be true. I basically sketched it out on a knife, heavily influenced by Chris Reeves Sebenza's blade shape, and gave it to Benchmade and said, make me a Griptilian with this blade shape. And so we went through a series of prototypes, and I said, keep moving the grind higher. And as you move the grind higher, the angle becomes more acute. I wanted my knives to be slicers, and it all worked out well. And it took, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 prototypes to get it the geometry where we wanted it, where I wanted it, where it was slicey enough but not so thin that we would end up having problems. So that's the story.
You can use this and use this and use it. Now, this is my original one.
Mm-hmm.
Of course. This is the one you gave me. I now have two. I'm not giving them up. They are just so sharp. So, and then there's the blue. I believe Zach has the blue one, if I'm not wrong.
I think so.
Yeah, Zach's got the blue one. I mean, these are absolutely fantastic. I absolutely love them. Everything about them, the ergonomics, the fidget factor is phenomenal.
Well, the able lock helps with that, and the fact that Hogue is just killing it for me in the quality of these knives. A lot of people are surprised when they start fidgeting with them and flicking them that, oh, these aren't bearings. Oh no, they're just really well done phosphor bronze washers, which are basically keep it simple and it works great. I'm very lucky that people like what I like, because I really designed this knife for me. I designed this knife because at Equipped to Survive, as the Equipped to Survive guy, the survival guy, people would ask me, well, what knife should I get? And there was always a but at the end of the, but that's really expensive, or but that doesn't have this feature. And so the RSK folders were the answer to that question for me. And I'm blessed that a lot of people like them.
Oh, I can't. If I could even put up all the comments, they're just one after another, and that's not even going back up. And Zach does have the blue one.
There you go.
His favorite, the blue mini RSK.
And then, we finally came out with Damascus in the full size. This is the purple. The Damascus handle material has been very popular for us. Black is still our best seller. But the Damascus is doing well for us.
Yeah.
It really is.
One of the other things I want to
Just a quick question. Hey, how are you?
Yeah.
In the app, in the Knife Rights app, if the page is blank, does that mean that state follows? How does that work? Because Nevada's blank, Reno's blank.
Well, then there's something wrong, because there shouldn't be.
Okay. Somebody had asked that, and
got me, but I'm making a note to have our IT guy check it, because if it's there, then something's wrong.
I don't know if you can see that.
Nope, something's screwed up.
Okay.
Thank you. We'll work at getting that fixed. It involves electrons. And corralling electrons is sort of like corralling cats. Just saying.
So really quick, tell me a little bit about we're going to be doing a giveaway here in a minute. But tell me a little bit about your Legal Blade app.
So we started the Legal Blade app because there really was no reliable source for what the knife laws were. I would look around online and see half a dozen different version of what's legal in what particular state. Plus, we were changing the law for the better, and these online sources weren't keeping up. So we decided, let's do an app, and we have control over it. So when we change a law, I can fix it. And we have continually improved the app. We had geolocation until Apple messed that up. And so we're working on trying to get that back. It's basically the knife laws of the 50 states and about 50 cities nationwide, 50 of the largest cities nationwide in the palm of your hand. And there's links in there to find the laws in jurisdictions, cities and towns that we don't cover. Because you can just go to the code and you can search on knives and typically find it that way.
Well, and it's a wonderful resource, because if you're a traveler and you're traveling a lot, you can see where you're going, like maybe what are the knife laws there specifically for the state, and also maybe the county you might be in. And otherwise that's something you have to spend time looking up on the internet. You've got it right there on the app.
that's why we did it.
Yeah.
You know, I travel a lot, obviously, because of knife rights. And I needed to know this stuff. And if
Yeah.
I needed to know it, probably other people did. And it just seemed like the right thing for the foundation to do as its primary educational part of what our mission statement is.
Right.
And it is proved pretty popular. And we are, you know, we're working on some upgrades for probably come in next year, because we want to continue to improve it and continue to make it easier for people not to break the law. Because if you can avoid breaking the law in the first place, then I don't have to get the phone call or the email or the text saying, I just got arrested.
Right.
We want to try to avoid that.
I'm going to call you if I get arrested. Doug, don't hang up. Hey, you guys, we're going to do a real quick giveaway. What are we giving away, Doug?
Hang on.
Doug has graciously provided the giveaway. Can you guys all see that? Woo woo!
Oh, that's awesome.
So Doug is going to be giving away his I call it the Altoid tin of knives, and it's awesome.
It's the RSK Mark V. Yeah. So this was originally produced by CRKT. After about 8-9 years, they discontinued it. Blue Ridge Knives, who's the largest knife retailer or knife distributor in the world, did well enough with it that they went back to the original factory, and the original factory is now producing it for Blue Ridge Knives. So available at, unlike my other RSK knives, available at your favorite retailer.
Yeah, that's awesome. So that's coming from Doug, you guys. For me, I'm adding in, which way am I going here? Of course, the log and jotter, because you know I love those. The giant swag pack full of, where are we? Full of stickers. I always have the hardest time going backwards. The only thing we're missing in here, for those of you guys that know, is a big red EDC sticker because we've run out. So I do apologize for that. So we've got 134 people watching right now. We are going to do a number spread. So as always, it's going to be a number spread that I'm going to give you after we hit the start button. It's one guess only. Closest to without going over is going to win. If there is an event of two of the same guesses, we're going to do a tiebreaker. So a little bit of a knife fight. All right. If my moderator would like to put up a start for me, I will show you guys the number. Hopefully you can't see through to the other number. I'll put my finger on the wrong side. All right, let's go. Ready? Where's the start? Oh, it's lagging. It's lagging. All right, you guys, your number spread is between 100 and 400. 100 and 400. All right, while those guys are guessing, you will be attending SHOT Show, correct?
I'll be at SHOT Show. You bet.
Awesome.
It's a big show for me to be the beggar in chief for knife rights. People ask, what do you do at knife rights? I'm the beggar in chief.
Are you going to be at the Hogue table? Will you have your own table, or will you just be kind of?
No, I'll be running around. I will be running around the show, meeting with knife companies and firearms companies, begging for stuff that we can use as prizes and financial support. Right now, there's no plans for me to be at the Hogue booth other than to say hi to my friends at Hogue. But I'll be meeting up with Hogue. I think Hogue and I and KnifeWorks at knifeworks.com, who are my exclusive retailer, will have a meeting with Hogue. But SHOT Show for me is really about going around meeting with the different knife companies, the firearms companies, and the other companies who support us. That's the only place where all of them gather, and where I can have an opportunity to meet face to face with these guys. And if you're begging for stuff, whether it's money or product, it goes a lot better if you're in the same room with them. So that's what I do. I don't know if you looked at the map for SHOT Show, but with the addition of the Caesars Forum, it's like if you thought we walked a lot before, now we got a whole nother building worth.
So I've always wanted to go. This is my first time. But I'll be working it. So I'll be over in Leong Ma's booth working with Leong Ma. And I'm like trying to figure out how I'm going to even find his booth. That place is crazy big. It is going to be insane. Absolutely insane. But we'll definitely hook up while you're there. Well,
absolutely.
You know what I mean? No, wrong wording. No, Sue. We will get together while you're there.
Sorry about that, Pete,
or whatever. Sorry, honey. All right. We are running into about 10 minutes left here. Let's see. Is it slowing down? About 10 more seconds. Again, you guys, this is all for Knife Rights, a 24-hour live. We've got a Therapeutic Edge next. After Therapeutic Edge is KC from Knives Fast, and we will end it with Grateful Panda. Or for those of you that don't know, Grateful Panic Knife Reviews. Thank you so much to Javon, John Evans, and Shane Gables for putting this all together. This has just been so awesome. Absolutely. Thank you so much, Doug, for joining me. It's been a blast. It's always fun hanging out with you.
It's a pleasure. And again, I want to thank everybody who's donated, all of the YouTubers who've participated and helped promote this. This has been fantastic opportunity to get the word out about Knife Rights and to raise funds. And I'm very excited. Yeah. Very excited for all this.
And Tree Stabbing Troy, we're talking about making this a yearly event. Okay, you guys, the winning number is 307. 307. Yeah, everybody, I mean, I can't, thank you for your support, Mr. Ritter, the budget guy. Thanks for helping us out. Watch out for ourselves, Doug, which is really true. Hey, Grumpy Grunt, by the way. Everybody, thank you, Doug. Thank you, Doug. JB, whoops, it jumped. Well, other people are helping me check the numbers. Biannual, Stacy, you're nuts. We can't do biannual. It would be fun. Stacy, that is the one, Doug, that I told you about, has been on the entire time. She started with the first live stream and has been on every single one. That girl has got to be sucking down energy drinks. Did you find it?
No.
Okay, we're looking. Sorry about that, you guys. We are looking for Ed Harrison has 304. There's so many numbers on there.
Yeah.
Hey, JB, and Zach, if you guys are still on there, can you help me out? See if you can find closest to a 307.
Thank to all of you who are commenting. Thank you. Thank you so much. That's really nice.
Sorry, this is nuts with this many people. Ed Harrison. I'm seeing Ed Harrison. 304. Okay, JB saying 304. So Ed Harrison, yes, you have won. Let me write this down. You will need to send me an email. Peter's going to put up the link. Send me an email so we can get your address. Doug, I'm assuming you'll send directly to him then.
Yep.
All right. So Doug's going to send you the knife. I will be sending you the swag. So you'll be getting 2 different boxes. Congratulations to you, my dear, for winning. Doug, any last words, closing words? We've got about 7 minutes left. 6 minutes.
Oh, sure. I can talk for 7 minutes about Knife Rights.
And by the way, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Thank you, everybody who's joined me today.
I have a question. Do you have anything? Do you have any new designs in the pipe? Did you guys already do that?
No, we haven't done that. And the answer is we have lots of things in the pipeline, and I don't discuss those.
Right.
No, absolutely fair. I'm just excited.
When they show up, they show up. All the knife companies, including Hogue, are having trouble just producing what they can produce. So, but yeah, there's some interesting stuff coming. There's always interesting stuff coming. So I'm pretty excited about it. We'll announce it. KnifeWorks will have it once it comes out. Look for some stuff,
Hey,
next quarter.
Tree Stopping Boy would like to know if you're going to be autographing the knife tin, the box.
I can do that. I'll do that. My signature isn't very impressive.
Here's another thing, and this is something you and I had already spoken about. People are asking about Knife Rights merch on your website.
So you and I have talked about this. We tried this a few years back, and it wasn't very successful. Our logo apparently wasn't exciting enough. We've had a few people offer to design some, more exciting shirts. But so far, nobody's ever actually done that. So, if there are some designers here, some graphic people who are interested in doing something that incorporates the Knife Rights logo, as you and I discussed, maybe this is an opportunity to say, hey, give us something that people will actually want to wear.
Absolutely.
And we could do some merchandise. But
we're going to do something with that. We talked about one thing already, so
more good things.
Yes, absolutely. So I'm gonna start moving on the one we talked about. But stickers. You even had.
There you go.
The bumper stickers. Love it.
All knives matter.
That's right, and they do. So again, you guys, donate to Knife Rights. It's for an absolutely wonderful cause. Oh, I forgot to mention too that if you use Amazon Smile Shop, part of the proceeds for your purchases through that go to Knife Rights. So that is another.
If you go to the Knife Rights, website, on the homepage, there's a link that tells you how to sign up for Amazon Smile and Good Shop so that we gain the benefit. Doesn't cost you anything. Amazon pays a small percentage, which adds up to thousands of dollars at the end of the year for us. So it's a great way. If you're shopping at Amazon anyway, shop through Amazon Smile with Knife Rights Foundation as your beneficiary, and you get something back from Amazon, which is cool.
No, that's awesome. I've been on my camera all this time. It looks kind of blurry. Whoop. No, it still looks blurry. That's okay.
All right, look okay here.
Yeah, does anybody have any last questions before we head on over to a therapeutic edge for his hour? Get access to everything on Amazon. Mrs. B's, hearts to the missus. I love the women in here. You are so welcome, you guys. I'm not sure where we stand. We'll have to find out where we are on the donations. As I said, I believe the last count was very early this morning. John has been absolutely instrumental in this. I know he's got to be exhausted, but and Shane is not technically, he doesn't know a lot about the technical side of it, but he has been absolutely awesome too. I want to thank everybody for their donations today. That was so awesome. Like I said, it's definitely awesome. If you guys donated to me, what I kind of want to do is if you donated in a $10 increment, I'm going to go back and look. I'd like you to get a hold of me with your email address because I'm actually going to take that money and I'm going to send it over to Knife Rights and give you an entry into the giveaway for that. Because again, it is all about the Knife Rights.
That's really nice.
That's what this is about today. So, and as Zach always says, DSKFS, do something kind for someone. What you're doing is amazing. It's for all of us in this community. This community absolutely rocks. And what better thing to do than give it back? So, and there goes, thank you so much. Very sweet.
Thank you.
All right, you guys, we have got 55 seconds. Want you all to head on over to, I almost said Big Red EDC, I'm sorry. Head on over to it's my Blade West husband. Head on over to a therapeutic, now I'm going to have a SHOT Show husband. It's going to be you, Doug. You're going to have to be my new SHOT Show husband. All right, you guys, thank you so much for joining us, Doug. Always a pleasure. We will see you.
Let's do this again sometime.
Well, I'm going to have to get you on here on just one of the regular lives.
Works for
just
me.
to talk. Yeah, that'll be awesome. And I will be seeing you at SHOT Show, hon. Thank you so much. Thanks, everybody, for joining us.
Take care, everyone.
Alrighty.
Thank you for your generosity.
Alrighty. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.